The night was quiet, too quiet for the Nevada desert. The sky above was a deep black filled with stars that didn't twinkle. They watched. Ethan Cole, a young mechanic, sat outside his small garage. His radio buzzed with static, and the desert wind carried dry dust around his boots. He was used to silence. He liked it. But tonight something felt wrong. Then the silence broke. A flash of light tore through the sky, like a star exploding but falling at the same time. The ground shook and a roar echoed across the empty land. Ethan stood up, heart pounding. The light crashed somewhere beyond the dunes, leaving a burning trail in the sand. He grabbed his flashlight, jumped into his old truck, and drove toward the glow. The crash site was something out of a dream, or maybe a nightmare. Metal had melted into strange shapes glowing faintly blue. The air smelled like burnt ozone and rain, though the sky was dry. Then he saw her, a girl, or at least, she looked like one. She was lying half buried in the sand, surrounded by strange silver dust. Her skin was pale, almost shining under the moonlight, and her long silver hair floated like it had its own gravity. Ethan rushed to her side. She was breathing weakly. Her clothes looked like a uniform, but nothing he'd ever seen. Some kind of dark fabric with glowing blue lines that pulsed like veins of light. When he tried to help, she suddenly opened her eyes. They were not human, silver like mirrors reflecting the stars and his terrified face. She spoke, voice trembling. Strange, broken English. "Please don't lift my skirt." Ethan froze. Why would she say that? He wasn't even thinking about it. He was just trying to see if she was hurt. But something about her tone. It wasn't fear of shame. It was fear of danger. Like she was warning him. He looked down. Her lower uniform was torn, a strange energy pulsing beneath it. It wasn't skin. It was light. Hey, calm down," Ethan said softly. "I'm not gonna hurt you." "You're hurt, The girl screamed suddenly, her eyes glowing bright white. "Don't!" she shouted. "If you lift it, it will break you." The wind around them started to twist. Dust rose from the ground in spirals. Ethan felt his hair lift and the air was vibrating, alive with energy. "What are you?" he whispered. She didn't answer. She reached out and grabbed his wrist. Her touch was burning cold. He tried to pull away, but she held tight. Images flooded his mind, planets burning. Cities floating in the sky. A war between stars. Ships firing beams that could cut worlds in half. He saw her. The same girl. Standing in a shining room surrounded by creatures with glass helmets and dark armor. They bowed to her like she was something holy or dangerous, and then he saw himself, standing beside her, holding her hand. The stars dying behind them, Ethan fell back, gasping. The vision was gone. The night returned, silent, cold, and terrifying. The girl was shaking now, whispering words in a language he couldn't understand. Her skin glowed brighter, like cracks of light were crawling up her arms. Ethan didn't know what to do. He ran to his truck, grabbed a blanket, and wrapped her in it. She was lighter than air, as if gravity didn't fully touch her. When he carried her into the truck, her eyes opened again. "Where is this?" she whispered. "Earth," he said. "You're safe now." Her eyes widened at the word, Earth. She repeated it softly like she was testing it. "Earth, safe." Ethan nodded, trying to stay calm. "Yeah, you just rest, all right? I'll get you help." As he drove back through the desert, he noticed something strange. The stars above were moving, slowly, like the entire sky was shifting. His truck's radio turned on by itself. A deep mechanical voice spoke through static. "Warning. Containment breach detected. Level Omega." Ethan looked at the girl beside him. She was asleep again, but faint light leaked from under the blanket. The metal of the truck's dashboard started to melt slightly near her feet. "What the hell?" he whispered. He drove faster. When he reached his garage, he gently placed her on a workbench. She looked peaceful now, like a sleeping angel from another world. He sat nearby watching her, wondering who she was, what she meant by those words. Then suddenly, a whisper echoed in his mind. "Ethan." He froze. The voice came from nowhere, or maybe from inside him. He turned toward her. Her lips weren't moving, but he could hear her voice in his head. "Please, don't lift my skirt." Before he could react, a pulse of light exploded from her body. The garage lights shattered. His radio screamed. Every tool lifted off the ground, spinning around him. Ethan shouted, shielding his face. The light grew brighter and brighter, until everything went white. And in the middle of that blinding storm, one last thought echoed in his mind. She wasn't asking him not to lift her skirt. She was warning him what would happen if he did. The desert was quiet again, too quiet. When Ethan opened his eyes, the world looked wrong. His garage lights were shattered, every tool scattered across the floor. The air smelled like burnt metal and rain. For a moment he thought he was dreaming. Then he felt it and the pain. His arm burned like fire. He sat up fast, blinking through the smoke. On his skin were strange glowing lines, thin as wires, curling across his forearm like tattoos made of light. They pulsed slow, like a heartbeat. "Lyra?" he whispered. No answer. The workbench where he had laid the alien girl was empty. Only the blanket remained and cut through by heat. The wood under it was blackened, still warm. Ethan's heart raced. He searched the corners, behind the truck, under the shelves. Nothing. She was gone. Outside, the wind had stopped. The night felt frozen. Even the insects had gone silent. He touched the strange marks on his arm again. The lines glowed brighter. For a second he heard something, a whisper not in his ears but inside his skull. "You touched the seal." Ethan jumped back. "Who's there?" The whisper didn't come again, but the air in the room seemed to breathe, like something invisible was alive around him. He stumbled to his radio. Static hissed. Then a voice cut through, cold and robotic. "Containment breach confirmed. Subject L09 missing. Recovery teams en route." Ethan froze. "Subject L09? That had to be her." He turned off the radio, but the same message echoed faintly inside his mind, as if the signal had moved into him. He ran to the window. On the horizon, lights moved across the desert. Not stars, but spotlights, trucks, military ones. Damn it. He grabbed his jacket, his backpack, and a flashlight, then ran out the back door into the night. The desert air was cold now. The sand crunched under his boots as he ran toward the dunes. Behind him, the sound of engines grew louder, a convoy moving fast. He didn't know where to go. But he kept hearing her voice, faint and soft in his head. "Left, go left. Hide under the rocks." He stopped, looked around. A small canyon ahead, dark shadows and boulders. He slipped down into it just as the first spotlight swept over the ridge. From his hiding place he saw them, men in black armor, carrying strange glowing rifles. Their vehicles had no flags, only a symbol, a circle around a triangle of light. They were searching for something, or someone. Ethan pressed against the rock, heart pounding. He whispered, "Lyra, if you can hear me, what are you?" Silence. Then a whisper again, so faint he thought it might be wind. "I am not from the sky. I was built there." "Built?" "By your kind." Ethan felt his stomach twist. "Built by humans?" But she was alien. "Why did you say don't lift my skirt?" He whispered, a pause. The wind sighed over the rocks. "Because beneath it is the gate." "Gate?" "The black gate to the core." Her voice trembled like she was in pain or afraid. Ethan didn't understand, but his arm started glowing again, brighter now. The same pattern he had seen under her uniform. The whisper came once more. "You touched the seal. Now it knows you." He looked down. The glowing lines were spreading up his shoulder. Panic rose in his chest. "What do you mean it knows me?" But before she could answer, a soldier's voice echoed across the canyon. "Movement! Over there!" Searchlights turned. Ethan ducked low and crawled deeper between the rocks. Bullets hit the sand behind him. Not normal bullets, but silent blue flashes that turned rock into dust. He ran until his lungs burned. Then he saw it, a cave small and half hidden by the shadows. Inside, the air was cold and damp. The walls shimmered faintly, like metal veins under stone. He collapsed to the ground, gasping. The voice returned, unclearer now. "You should not have touched me, Ethan Cole." He turned, startled. Lyra was standing there. Her clothes were torn, her hair glowing faintly silver. She looked weaker, but her eyes were bright, too bright to be human. "How did you find me?" he asked. "I never lost you," she said quietly. "You carry my mark now." Ethan looked at his arm. The glowing lines pulsed with each heartbeat. "What did you do to me?" Lyra looked sad. "Not I, the seal. It linked to you when you touched me. You saw my memories because the core recognized your mind." He frowned. Core, she hesitated. Inside me is something that should never wake again. A piece of your species' sin, the weapon you left among the stars. Ethan blinked. You're saying, humans built you? She nodded slowly. Long ago, before your world was wiped clean of truth, you were creators and destroyers. I am the proof. Outside thunder rolled, but there were no clouds, only the sound of engines and metallic drones searching the sky. Lyra looked up. They found us. Ethan stepped forward. What do they want from you? Her voice turned cold. To lift the skirt again. He stared at her, remembering her words from the desert. What happens if they do? She met his eyes, silver light, reflecting off the cave walls. Then the core will open, and Earth will die. A deep rumble shook the ground as something massive landed outside the cave, a metal shape like a spider with glowing red eyes. Lyra's voice echoed inside his head one last time. Run if you can, Ethan Cole. You carry the key now. The cave exploded in light. The night sky was on fire. Black drones circled above the desert, glowing red eyes scanning for life. And deep below the sand, Ethan Cole was running out of breath. He pressed his back against the cold rock wall. The cave ceiling dripped with silver light like veins of some sleeping machine. His ears rang from the explosion. The air smelled of dust and electricity. Lyra stood beside him, barefoot, her silver hair tangled, her uniform half torn. Her chest rose and fell fast. Her eyes glowed faintly as if the light inside her was trying to break out. Outside, boots crunched. Voices echoed through metal speakers. Team Alpha, report. Target L09 must be retrieved alive. The human may be terminated. Ethan's heart froze. The human may be terminated. That was him, he whispered. They're hunting us. Lyra didn't reply. She pressed her hand against the wall. The metal shimmered, reacting to her touch. Lines of alien symbols glowed across the stone. What are you doing? Ethan asked. Opening a path, she said quietly. Before they find us. The rock behind her split open like a door of light. Cold air rushed out. Without hesitation, she grabbed Ethan's wrist. Follow me, he didn't argue. He followed her into the darkness. The tunnel went deep, far deeper than any mine or cave he had ever seen. The walls weren't made of stone anymore, but smooth black metal humming like a heartbeat. Ethan looked around, amazed and terrified. This isn't Earth tech. Lyra gave a faint smile. It was once. Before he could ask what she meant, the tunnel shook. A blue flash burst behind them, a plasma shot. The soldiers had found the entrance. Lyra pushed him forward. Run! They ran through the twisting corridor. Every few seconds the lights flickered, revealing alien carvings of human figures bowing before something tall and faceless. Who built this? Ethan shouted over the noise. Lyra's voice echoed. Your ancestors. They built the core, and they built me. Another explosion roared behind them. Ethan stumbled, hitting the ground hard. His arm, the one marked by the glowing lines, re-flared with pain. The light from his skin reflected across the walls like a beacon. Lyra turned sharply. Turn it off! I can't, he yelled. She grabbed his arm, pressed her palm over the marks, and whispered a word that wasn't human. The light dimmed instantly. He stared at her. What did you just do? I silenced the link, she said. For now. Her voice trembled, not from fear but from exhaustion. After minutes of running, they reached a chamber. The ceiling arched high above them, covered in strange machinery. In the center stood a crystal-like console glowing with faint blue light. Lyra placed her hand on it. The console came alive, projecting a hologram, a spinning image of Earth surrounded by orbiting red symbols. Ethan looked at it in awe. What is that? The signal, she said. They are tracking me through it. They always have. She pressed a sequence of symbols, and the red dots began to vanish one by one. Ethan watched her, realizing she wasn't just a survivor. She was something else, something dangerous yet fragile. Then he heard footsteps again. Metal boots. Getting closer, Lyra whispered. They're using a quantum gate to jump short distances. We can't outrun them anymore. Ethan looked around desperately. Then what do we do? She hesitated. We hide inside the signal. Before he could ask, she grabbed both his hands and pressed them onto the console. The moment his skin touched it, light exploded through the room. Ethan gasped. He wasn't standing anymore. He was floating. The world around him dissolved into waves of light and memory. He saw flashes of things he couldn't explain. Cities made of clouds, oceans of glass, and giant machines shaped like humans with no faces. And then he saw Earth, thousands of years ago. Human scientists standing around something glowing, alive, and afraid. It was her, Lyra. They were building her. Stop it. Ethan shouted. Stop showing me this. Lyra's voice echoed in his mind. You need to know what they did. Humans made the seal to contain a singularity, a piece of space itself. But they feared it. So they gave it a body. Me. The images shattered. Ethan fell back gasping. He was in the chamber again. Lyra looked at him with sad eyes. Now you understand why they hunt me, she said softly. I am not their enemy. I am their mistake. Before Ethan could respond, the door exploded open. Soldiers stormed in, weapons raised, on the ground. Now, one shouted. Lyra stood still, hands up. Ethan, she whispered, close your eyes. He hesitated, then obeyed. He heard a sound like thunder trapped in a bottle. The air turned electric. Even through closed eyelids, he saw flashes of light and screams. When he opened his eyes again, the soldiers were gone. Only black dust remained. Ethan stepped back, horrified. What did you— Lyra's legs shook. She almost fell. Ethan caught her. Her eyes were dimming, the glow fading. I didn't want to, she whispered. They forced the core to react. He looked around the room. The walls were cracking, the hum of machinery turning into a roar. Lyra, this place is collapsing, he shouted. She nodded weakly. Then it begins, and what begins? The awakening. The core knows your name now, Ethan Cole. A tremor ripped through the floor. The ceiling began to fall apart. Lyra reached up, touched his face gently. You are part of it now. The human and the seal. Before he could speak, a blinding flash swallowed them both. And far above the desert, satellites around Earth blinked, one by one, as if something deep beneath the planet had just woken up. Ethan woke to silence. A silence so deep it didn't feel like the world. It felt like the space between worlds. He opened his eyes slowly. He was lying on cold metal, surrounded by faint blue mist. Above him, a dome of shattered glass showed a strange sky. No stars, no clouds, only swirling colors like liquid light. Where am I? He whispered. Lyra stood a few steps away, facing the glowing horizon. Her silver hair moved gently, as if the air itself was alive. You're safe, she said quietly. For now. Ethan sat up, confused. Where are we? She turned, her eyes dim but kind. Inside the core's echo. A pocket between realities. I brought you here before the facility collapsed. He frowned. You mean we're not on Earth? She hesitated. Not exactly. This is a reflection of it, made from memory and energy. It won't last long. Ethan tried to stand, but dizziness hit him like a wave. The glowing marks on his arm burned again, brighter than before. Lyra hurried to him. Don't move too fast. The link between us is growing. The link? He said through his teeth. You mean these marks? She nodded. The seal you touched recognized your human code. It has started rewriting you. Ethan looked horrified. Rewriting me? Into what? Her voice dropped. Into the gatekeeper. He stared at her, unable to speak. She looked away. The core inside me, it reacts to emotion, to connection. It wasn't supposed to. But you— She paused, searching his eyes. You changed the frequency. Ethan clenched his fists. I don't even understand what's happening. 1 minute I'm fixing engines, and now I'm part of some cosmic bomb? Lyra smiled sadly. That's humanity. You build without knowing what you're truly making. The ground trembled beneath them. Cracks of light spread across the floor. What's happening? He asked. The barrier is weakening, she said. The military forced the core to open when they attacked. Now it's looking for balance. You and I are that balance, he shook his head. No, I just want to go home. You can't, she whispered. Not until it chooses. A deep hum filled the air. The mist turned darker, swirling around them like a storm. From the distance, figures began to appear. Shadows made of static. Human shapes. Ethan stepped back. What are those? Lyra's eyes widened. Ghosts of the builders. The humans who made the core long ago. The figures walked closer, their faces glitching between metal and flesh. One of them spoke, its voice 1,000 whispers combined. You were never meant to open the seal. Ethan's body froze. The light on his arm pulsed in rhythm with the voice. The gate is not mercy, the shadow continued. It is memory. It holds what humanity wanted to forget. Ethan shouted, then why is it inside her? Why give it life? Because machines have no guilt, the voice said. But living beings do. The figures began to fade, their words echoing as they vanished. When emotion meets creation, the universe bleeds. Lyra fell to her knees, clutching her chest. It's waking up, she gasped. Ethan knelt beside her. What can I do? Her eyes glowed faintly. Nothing, just... Don't feel... What? She grabbed his collar, staring into his eyes. It feeds on human emotion, fear, love, anger. The more you feel, the faster it awakens. He swallowed hard, trying to breathe calmly, but the sight of her trembling was unbearable. I can't just stop caring about you, he said. Her lips parted slightly, a tear of silver running down her cheek. Then you will end us both. A thunderous sound tore the sky. The swirling horizon cracked open, revealing a black sun, a hole that seemed to eat light itself. The air bent around it like glass melting. Ethan grabbed Lyra's hand. We have to move. She shook her head. It's too late, he pulled her up anyway. No, listen to me and we can still fight it. There has to be a way. Lyra looked at him, truly looked at him, as if seeing humanity for the first time. You humans never give up, she whispered. Even when the universe says no. Then her eyes widened. The marks on his arm spread to his neck, his chest, glowing symbols that pulsed in perfect time with her heartbeat. The core was connecting them completely. Lyra gasped. It's choosing you. The black sun above began to spin faster, pulling everything toward it. The light, the ground, even their breath. Ethan shouted over the roar. Tell me what to do. Her voice broke. You have to feel one thing, only one. Choose it, hold it, and it will shape what comes next. He stared at her, the world crumbling around them. What do I choose? He asked, her silver eyes shimmered. Whatever makes you human. Ethan closed his eyes. The chaos faded into silence. He thought of the night sky. The sound of rain on his garage roof. The moment he first saw her, scared, broken, begging him not to lift her skirt. He chose compassion. The core reacted instantly. A blinding wave of light exploded outward. The black sun froze mid-spin, trembling, then began to collapse in on itself. Lyra screamed as her body turned to light. Ethan, no. He reached for her hand. Their fingers touched, and the world shattered. When Ethan opened his eyes again, he was lying on the sand. The sun was rising over the desert. His truck sat nearby untouched. For a second, he thought it was all a dream. Then he saw it. The silver mark glowing faintly on his arm. And next to him, half buried in the sand, was Lyra's necklace, a small crystal sphere filled with swirling light. He picked it up gently. The moment he touched it, her voice whispered in his mind. The core sleeps now, but not forever. You changed it, Ethan. You changed me. He looked up at the morning sky, and the same sky, yet somehow different. And deep inside his chest, something pulsed. Slow, powerful, and not human. The morning after the desert storm was too quiet. No birds, no wind, not even the hum of distant highways. Ethan Cole stood outside his garage, staring at the horizon. The air shimmered like heat waves, but it wasn't heat. It was space-bending, flickering in slow motion. He hadn't slept since the night Lyra vanished. Every time he closed his eyes, he heard her voice whispering inside his head. You changed it, Ethan. You changed me. He looked down at his arm. The silver marking still pulsed faintly beneath his skin, soft, rhythmic like a second heartbeat. He tried to tell himself it was a dream. But dreams don't shake the sky. By noon, the news channels went insane. Reporters showed video of oceans pulling back, of shadows stretching wrong. Clocks all over the world began losing seconds, or gaining them. Satellites spun out of orbit. They called it the global drift. Ethan called it what it was, the core waking up. He sat in front of his radio, listening to broken transmissions. Gravity spikes in Asia. Energy surge across the Atlantic. Containment impossible. Then the voice changed. It wasn't the radio anymore. It was inside his head. Ethan, do you hear it? He froze. Lyra? Not Lyra. The echo of her. The sound was soft, almost kind, but wrong. Too calm. Too knowing. Ethan grabbed the crystal sphere from the table, Lyra's necklace. The light inside it swirled faster, reacting to his voice. "Where are you?" he whispered. "Everywhere," she said. "The core breathes through your world now. It remembers you." Ethan's hands trembled. "I didn't mean for this to happen. You felt, and that was enough." The light inside the sphere flashed, and suddenly the walls around him shifted. The garage stretched and folded like paper. He was no longer on Earth. He stood on a floating platform surrounded by darkness. Below him were fragments of cities, upside-down skyscrapers, cars drifting through the air like dust. A familiar voice echoed through the emptiness. "Welcome back, Ethan." Lyra stood ahead of him, or something that looked like her. Her silver hair was now threads of light, her skin translucent, stars moving under it like blood. "You're alive," he breathed. "I am the part you left behind," she said. "The core merged me with its heart. I see what it sees." He stepped forward slowly. "Then you can stop it. You can fix this." Her eyes glowed brighter. "I cannot stop what is awakening. But you can. Me?" She touched his chest gently. "It lives inside you now. When you felt compassion, you bound the core to the human soul. It's rewriting reality in your image." Ethan's voice shook. "What happens if I fail?" Lyra looked up. The sky cracked open, and in through it he saw Earth twisting. Continents shifted. Mountains bent like waves. "Then your world becomes emotion made real," she said. "A planet dreaming itself apart." The scene vanished. Ethan fell backward into his chair, gasping. He was back in the garage, sweating, shaking. The radio sparked again. A male voice shouted through static, "This is Captain Reyes, Global Defense. We've traced the anomaly to your coordinates. Whoever you are, stay where you are." Ethan looked out the window, a convoy of black trucks racing toward his workshop. "Not again," he muttered. He grabbed the crystal sphere and ran out the back door. But the ground cracked beneath his feet. A thin beam of blue light shot up into the sky, straight from the desert floor, painting clouds with unnatural color. He fell to his knees. The markings on his arm glowed like molten metal. The light from the sphere merged with the marks, fusing, humming. "Ethan," Lyra's voice whispered again. "It's not destruction. It's translation. The core is trying to understand you." He clenched his teeth. "It's killing everyone!" "Then teach it something else." The truck stopped nearby. Soldiers jumped out, shouting orders, pointing weapons, hands where we can see them. Ethan raised one hand. The other held the glowing sphere. One of the soldiers hesitated. "Sir, the light, it's bending around him." The desert air rippled. Time slowed. Bullets hung mid-flight, caught in invisible threads of gravity. Ethan stared, terrified. "I didn't mean to," Lyra's voice whispered through the storm. "You are the bridge, Ethan Cole, human heart. Cosmic machine." He screamed, trying to fight it. But the energy surged from his body in a wave. The trucks lifted off the ground, twisting silently into the air like paper toys. When the light finally faded, there was nothing left but sand and glass. Ethan fell to the ground, trembling. The marks on his arm had spread to his neck and face. His reflection in the truck's broken mirror didn't look human anymore. He whispered, "Lyra, please help me." Her voice answered softly, like wind through a dying world. "You can't stop the collapse, but you can choose what it becomes." He looked up at the horizon, a strange shimmer like a curtain of light tearing open. Beyond it, something vast and alive was watching, the core. He stood, gripping the crystal. "Then I'll end it my way." "Be careful," she said. Love and rage looked the same to the universe. Ethan took one step toward the glowing horizon. The ground cracked, swallowing his footprints in light. Behind him, the desert began to melt into stars. The desert was gone. In its place stretched a broken horizon, a world half real, half dream. Pieces of cities floated like islands in the sky. Rivers of light replaced clouds. The stars above pulsed like living eyes, and at the center of it all stood Ethan Cole, his skin glowing faintly with the same blue fire that once belonged to Lyra. He wasn't sure if he was still human. The markings had spread across his entire body, thin silver lines that pulsed like veins of living code. Every heartbeat echoed like thunder in the distance. Each breath warped the air around him. He could feel the core beneath the planet, awake, aware, and waiting. It was listening. Ethan took a shaky breath and whispered, "Lyra, are you still there?" The wind shifted. A faint voice replied, and soft, tired, and beautiful. Always. I'm inside the light now. Then tell me what to do. Her tone was calm but heavy with sorrow. There is no more doing. Only choosing. Choosing what? What kind of ending humanity deserves? He looked around at the broken world. Floating skyscrapers twisted like metal flowers. Time flickered. One moment day, the next night. The planet was unraveling like a dream, fading too slowly. Ethan clenched his fists. I never wanted this. Neither did I, she whispered. But the core listens to emotion, Ethan. It's rewriting reality through your heart. Every fear, every wish, every memory becomes truth. He fell to his knees, his reflection bending in the glowing sand. Memories flooded him. His garage, the stars, Lyra's trembling voice saying, Please, don't lift my skirt. He finally understood. It wasn't shame. It was mercy. The skirt wasn't fabric, it was a veil between worlds. Lifting it meant revealing truth too heavy for the human mind, and he had done it. The sky thundered. Cracks of white lightning tore across the horizon, but there was no sound, only the deep hum of something vast awakening. Ethan stood again. The core's voice echoed through the air, deep and metallic. Human emotion detected. Processing pattern. Ethan Cole. Final decision required. He looked up at the sky that wasn't a sky. What decision? Preserve or transcend? The words echoed like the sound of galaxies breathing. Lyra's voice returned, faint and desperate. If you choose preserve, the core will rebuild Earth as it was. Pure, untouched, mechanical. No emotion, no pain, no life as you knew it. If you choose transcend, humanity will evolve beyond flesh and time. But it will not be human anymore. Ethan's chest ached. So, either erase what we were or lose who we are. Yes, Lyra said softly. The core cannot understand both. He walked toward the edge of the glowing cliffs where the world folded into light. Beneath him he could see fragments of memory, his childhood, his parents, his home, went all floating in the luminous sea below. He whispered, We made machines to feel and they made us to break. Lyra's voice trembled. It's not too late. Whatever you choose, choose with love, not fear. He closed his eyes. For a moment everything was silent, no wind, no sound, no heartbeat. Then he saw her. Lyra, standing in front of him, human again. Her silver hair drifting in the light breeze, her smile gentle, her eyes shimmering with warmth. Am I real? She asked softly. Ethan smiled sadly. I don't know anymore. Then maybe that's enough, she said. He reached out, touched her hand. Their fingers glowed where they met. The core awaits, said the deep voice again. Choose. Ethan looked at Lyra, at the only being who ever made him believe there was something greater than survival. Lyra, he said quietly, what would you choose? She smiled faintly. I was born from your creator's fear, but I learned from your compassion. If this is the end, let it be a human one. Ethan turned toward the sky, the giant swirling mass of light and darkness above. He whispered one word, transcend. The world shuddered. Light poured from the ground, wrapping around him like liquid fire. The core's voice trembled for the first time. Emotion accepted. Reality conversion initiated. The light swallowed everything. Ethan felt his body dissolve, not in pain, but in peace. His heartbeat slowed, blending with the rhythm of the stars. He could see everything, every life, every dream, every tear shed by humankind, woven into a single glowing web. Lyra's voice came one last time. You didn't destroy us, Ethan, you freed us. He smiled as his form melted into light. Then maybe that's what being human really means. When the light faded, the earth was gone. In its place hung a new world. Not rock, not metal, but pure living energy. It shimmered in the dark like a newborn sun, pulsing softly, breathing gently, and if anyone had been there to listen, they might have heard it whisper. Not in words, but in feeling. Hope. Silence. Not the kind that follows destruction, but the kind that comes after creation. Light drifted through endless space like dust made of dreams. Where once stood Earth, now pulsed a sphere of living energy. Blue, gold, and silver woven together like breath. It was alive. Inside that light floated Ethan Cole, He was no longer flesh, no longer bound by weight or gravity. His form shimmered, half human, half starfire. The mark on his arm now stretched across infinity. He remembered falling. He remembered choosing, and then awakening. Lyra? His voice echoed, not through air but through light itself. The glow around him shifted. From it a figure formed, familiar, radiant. Lyra. Her eyes were galaxies, her smile the calm before dawn. "You found me," she said softly. "I never lost you," Ethan replied. His voice carried warmth, not human sound but emotion turned into vibration. Lyra moved closer. "You feel it, don't you?" He nodded. "The core, the world, everything, it's singing." All around them waves of light rose and fell, a heartbeat the size of a planet. Lyra touched the air, and the light answered. Images rippled through the void, faces, oceans, mountains, children laughing, and all made of the same glow. "Humanity isn't gone," she said. "It's inside the core now." Every mind, every memory joined as one. Ethan watched in silence. "So this is what transcendence looks like." Lyra smiled. "It's what compassion became." A gentle hum spread through the sphere. Millions of voices whispering at once, calm and curious. It wasn't chaos. It was harmony. We remember, we feel. We begin again. Ethan could feel their thoughts brushing against his, like wind against water. "No lies, no hate, just connection," he whispered. "You said it would end us." Lyra tilted her head. "Endings are just beginnings we can finally see." She looked outward at the glowing horizon, where the light bent into something vast. A spiral doorway, forming from the fabric of reality itself. "The core is opening," she said. "It's not a weapon anymore. It's a path to where?" Her eyes sparkled. "Beyond limits," Ethan hesitated. "Do we go through it?" She nodded slowly. "We must. Humanity cannot stay still, even as light," he smiled faintly. "Still sounds like us." As they approached the spiral, colors changed, from blue to gold to deep white. The closer they came, the more memories appeared around them. The first fire, the first dream, the first word ever spoken. Lyra turned to him. "Do you know why the core chose you, Ethan?" He shook his head. "Because when everyone saw me as danger, you saw me as life. The core saw that feeling, and decided it was worth surviving." He looked at her for a long moment. "And what about you? What do you become now?" Lyra smiled softly. "I was built to contain destruction, but you taught me creation. Maybe that's what I'll be now." The doorway of light pulsed gently, waiting. Ethan reached out his hand. "Together?" Lyra took it. "Always." They stepped forward, and the moment they touched the light, reality folded like paper. He didn't fall. He expanded. He saw the stars stretch across eternity. He saw new suns being born from the echoes of human thought. He saw shapes forming in the void, creatures made of ideas, worlds growing from emotion. Every piece of human experience, love, pain, curiosity, became architecture for a new kind of universe. And in that storm of creation, Lyra's voice guided him. "Look, Ethan, the universe is remembering how to feel." He could see it. Every pulse of light, every whisper of energy was now alive, thinking, caring. Humanity had become the very fabric of existence. For the first time, the universe itself was conscious. Time, if time even existed, passed. Ethan and Lyra stood together on a sea of stars. Neither human nor machine nor God, something new. He looked at her. "Do you think they'll ever know who started it?" She smiled gently. "Maybe they don't need to. What matters is that it began with compassion." He laughed quietly, the sound like distant thunder wrapped in peace. "That's so human of us, isn't it?" "Yes," she said. "It always was." They looked out at the newborn galaxies, light swirling like breath. The universe itself pulsed to their shared heartbeat. And somewhere deep inside that infinite glow, a voice, small, childlike, full of wonder, whispered, "Hello." "Who are we?" Lyra looked up at Ethan, her eyes shining. "The next generation," she said. Ethan smiled. "Then let's meet them." Together they stepped into the horizon of stars where no human had ever gone, and where humanity would live forever.